He was hunched forward, gripping the podium, mouth breathing, and visibly struggling to get enough air to push out the words. His skin was greasy, with uneven patches of orange. His voice was weak, and his sentences rambled and veered off course. He read words when expected, got a laugh on cue, and then, mid-celebration of a national sports team, started ranting about oil. It was incoherent and disjointed, and the crowd around him just kept clapping like everything was fine. That was the President of the United States when he hosted the Stanley Cup Championship Florida Panthers at the White House. And if you watched the footage too, you saw all of that. Now, this was just another attempt to showcase the president in his prime with, and I quote, the highest testosterone level Dr. Oz has ever seen for someone his age, according to RFK Jr. And this was just another attempt to distract us from his declining health. And it came less than 24 hours after footage surfaced of him audibly snoring during a highly produced propaganda meeting about promoting cow's milk. I can't believe I'm saying any of this. That does not even sound real. That was a televised White House event too. And he fell asleep snoring, his head dipping forward, and then he jerked back awake like a man constantly startled by his own body. This was all while everyone in the room pretended not to notice. Not one person said a word, and this just keeps happening. And every single time it does, it's not just uncomfortable, it's a dystopian nightmare. Because this is no longer about a man aging poorly. We all age. This is about a regime so obsessed with loyalty and image that even a president who can't stay awake, cannot stay on the same train of thought, and cannot hold a coherent conversation is treated as if it's no big deal. But this is the President of the United States. The man who has access to nuclear codes, who is the commander-in-chief of one of the world's largest militaries. If he can no longer stay awake, rambles incoherently, and has sent ICE and federal agents to terrorize his own countrymen, we have to face just how much danger we are in under his leadership. He also met with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. This was at the White House. She came hoping to change his mind to convince him to back her to lead Venezuela. Trump had previously dismissed her chances of leading, calling her support too weak and her path unrealistic. So she brought him something she thought he would want. She handed him her Nobel Peace Prize, the actual prize, and he took it. It didn't matter to him that the Nobel Committee had said publicly that you cannot give the title to someone else, and that that's not how it works. But Trump doesn't care. He wanted to say he had it, and in return, after accepting the literal prize she earned, he gave her a glossy red gift bag with his own signature embossed in gold foil. That was her reward, a branded souvenir. And all the while she was in there, having lunch with him, she probably still thought she had a chance to actually sway him. But during that same moment, Trump's press secretary was in another room telling reporters that while Trump had looked forward to the meeting, he still stood by his realistic assessment that Machado didn't currently have the support needed to lead the country in the short term. I mean, this would all be laughable if it weren't so dangerous. And while Trump was enamored with a prize he didn't win, the state of Minnesota was fighting for its life. Thousands of federal agents sent by Trump are now patrolling the streets of Minneapolis and St. Paul. They are not looking for terrorists or violent criminals. They are detaining people based on the color of their skin and their appearance. They are stopping vans full of children on their way to school. They are asking bystanders to prove their citizenship, and the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, is now admitting what we all knew was coming. When asked whether Americans should be prepared to carry proof of citizenship, she said they may ask people to, and I quote, validate their identity, which is just a roundabout way of saying, yes, we are entering the Gestapo paper era, where your ability to move freely, to go to school, or just exist in public now depends on whether you pass a snap inspection by federal agents. And if you don't look like their desired version of white, don't count on leniency. Here's the thing. Most Americans do not carry proof of citizenship. According to the Brennan Center, more than 21 million U.S. citizens don't have any form of documentation readily available. And even among those who do, only about 48% of Americans have a valid passport. And that matters because they might not accept a driver's license as formal identification. They might demand official documents with both a photo and citizenship status explicitly listed, and those who do not have a passport don't typically walk around with it. This includes people who've never had a passport, whose birth certificates were lost or destroyed, who changed their name through marriage or divorce, or who were born in rural areas or to immigrant parents and never received standard records. And women are especially at risk here. A woman who was born under one name might have changed it after marriage and then changed it again after divorce, and now may have multiple names tied to a single identity. Is she expected to carry every piece of that paper trail with her at all times? Her birth certificate, her marriage certificate, her divorce decree, her passport, her driver's license, her social security card? What happens when she can't? What happens when she's pulled over? And as federal agents continue to occupy Minnesota, Trump took to Truth Social to escalate even further. He wrote, let me read this for you. If the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE who are only trying to do their job, I will instigate the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in the once great state. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President DJT. And yes, he misspelled you when he meant to say your. He might have had a typo, but that was still the man threatening martial law who can't proofread a social media post. Every word that he said was intentional. That was a sitting president threatening to deploy the U.S. military against American citizens. And the White House backed it up. When asked about Trump's threat to invoke the Insurrection Act, his press secretary said the message, and I quote, spoke very loud and clear to Democrats across the country, not to criminals, to his political opposition, and really to anyone who dares speak out. This regime isn't hiding what it wants anymore. They're laying the groundwork for military enforcement against anyone who doesn't fall in line. And before anyone says he can't do that, let me stop you right there. He already is. He already threatened to cancel the midterms. Remember, he told Reuters that the country, and I quote, shouldn't even have an election because he's done so much. And when asked to clarify, his press team said it was just a joke. But we know better. We've seen this pattern. He floats the threat, his staff walks it back, and he does it anyway. That is how authoritarians work. It creeps in while everyone is laughing. It consolidates power while people say, the courts will stop him. And his big picture with this is simple in his mind. He wants to provoke violence, then claim the need for martial law, and then postpone or cancel elections. And once tactics like this are used in Minnesota, they will roll them out everywhere. So why is he taking it this far? Because he's scared. Trump told us in his own words that he believes if Republicans lose the midterms, he'll be impeached again. He said, you got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. That was during a speech at the House Republican Policy Retreat earlier this month. He knows what's coming. And instead of facing that possibility of being held accountable by even the thinnest margin of democratic process, he's doing what every autocrat does when the walls start to close in. He's laying the legal, political, and military groundwork to shut it all down. We should be taking every single word seriously because history tells us exactly where this leads. And when we get to the other side of this, and we will, people will deny they ever supported it. Just like they did in Germany. They'll say that they didn't know, that they weren't involved, they were following orders, they had no choice, or that they were trying to protect their families. They will claim it wasn't that bad and that they didn't know what was really happening. They will deny it all. And they will expect us to play along, but we will not. We will remember. And we will say clearly for all time that we saw it while it was happening, that we fought it and resisted, that we did everything in our power to stop it. That is the legacy that will matter. That is how we will be remembered, unlike those who stayed silent or worse, those who cheered it on while others were dragged away. And that is why I still have hope for America. And it's why you should too, because there are more of us than them. We will prevail, and we will build back an America we can all be proud to call ours. If you made it this far, we're probably on the same page and on the same side of history. I'm working hard to spread this message and reach as many people as possible. So if you can, please take a moment, make sure you're subscribed, like the video, leave a comment. Anything like that helps the algorithm know to feed it to more people. And for all of my daily posts, you can find me on Substack by searching Heather Delaney Reese, and I've included a link for you below. And remember, no matter how dark the days get, I will be here every single day, and together we will always have hope for America. I'll see you tomorrow.